Considering private member statements, I call the member for Baulkham Hills.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I stand to offer this private member's statement, not just as the member for Baulkham Hills, which is probably the best job I've ever been offered, but also as one of only two members of this House that has been on operational service overseas with the Australian Army, and with the Minister for Planning, I'd like to think that concurrently as the member for Baulkham Hills I can speak on behalf of our veterans, and for that, in that way I'd like to advise the House that I did have the pleasure of attending with the Governor, Archbishop Anthony Fisher's moving ceremony Requiem Mass on the eve of ANZAC Day, where he offered a wonderful ceremony to commend the souls of our fallen soldiers on that particular occasion. But on the morning of ANZAC Day, dawn service, I was proud to join the Premier as well and the Governor and 25,000 other members of the community to commemorate the dawn service. Despite what you saw in the Australian Financial Review gossip column, I was not missing in action. I actually not only attended the dawn service, but then attended another dawn service in my own electorate with the member for Castle Hill, and which my own sub-branch held. Police estimate in Castle Hill around 10,000 people attended that service, and it's a true reflection of the importance of the day, and I commend Brigadier Phil Bridie of Castle Hill RSL for that particular event. It's disappointing, Madam Speaker, that ANZAC Day was marred by the ongoing investigation into the New South Wales RSL State Council. I had asked those members under investigation in the RSL not to take a leadership role in any of the services and the marches. I found their presence distracting, and it turned a day of commemoration into a media circus. I have been horrified to learn that since then, those under police investigation, those very men who I asked not to take a leadership role in ANZAC Day this year, have now sacked the CEO, Glenn Colmetz. Glenn is the type of veteran we need to attract to the RSL. He's a decorated soldier, began his career in the ADF and progressed to a commissioned officer, then on to the New South Wales Police Force and to a policy role with the Labor's Shadow Defence Minister. He's a legal practitioner and an active member of his sub-branch. Glenn is a veteran we should be very proud of. He's a man with a remarkable empathy for modern veterans, the very veterans those in control of the RSL told me they wanted to attract. Glenn is the type of veteran we should raise up and look to leadership roles, not drag down like we have seen. And yet here he is, having to defend his position from men who themselves are under investigation for a swathe of wrongdoings, calling into question the credibility of good men like Glenn is beyond belief. Madam Acting Speaker, I welcomed Luke Foley's intervention in the RSL investigation last week via Twitter. He said that he would like to work in a bipartisan manner to clear up the RSL. It was in stark contrast to the Shadow Minister, Linda Volz, in the other place, who last October condemned my calls for reform of the RSL as a state government asset grab. Linda Volz said she was concerned that the New South Wales government now looking to intervene in an area with large stock of assets with little justification. She was defending the RSL, who is under investigation. Well, the Shadow Minister's comments weren't just personally insulting as a former service person, but it was also slanderous to front to the good men and women of the RSL sub-branches across New South Wales who are the real victims of the poor leadership of those. Look, you need to investigate. It is no surprise that Labor has backflipped on this.
The member for Wallsend has a point of order. The member for Baulkham Hills will resume his seat. What point of order?
You can't take a point of order.
Okay, yes, I can. Yes, you can on private member statements. Know the rules. It's asking the member to return to the leave of the discussion, which is about and in his electorate as well.
No, and the ANZAC Day, Madam Speaker, is about veteran
personnel. The member for Wallsend is still making her point of order.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, it's no surprise that Labor has backflipped on this because the government's tough stance is right and just. It begs the question, why hasn't the Shadow Minister for Veterans Affairs come out and corrected her statement? Why is she not voicing wrongdoings? Is it because of because the president of the RSL is a former Labor Lord Mayor of Parramatta, or is she just very slow in telling us? Is she just very slow in telling us why he was disendorsed? I'm being contacted almost daily by veterans and RSL sub-branches pleading that the government intervene. I've had a gutful. Madam Speaker, it's heartbreaking to see this iconic organisation trashed. Today I call on the Executive and the new President, whether it be James Brown or Charlie Lynn, to consider serious constitutional changes to the RSL. It needs a full review. For too long the system has not served sub-branch members, and power must be returned to its members, and I'm in heated agreement with the National President John Dick on this matter. Madam Speaker, we cannot allow this sad and sorry chapter to define the organisation tasked to represent the sacrifice of our nation's 100 war dead. I want our veterans to keep safe, and we need to make sure their invaluable contribution is not forgotten.